We're just constantly visualizing and imagining what we don't want. What do you want? And what are you envisioning it for yourself? Dream big for yourself. Because what is the point in not dreaming big? Hello, I am so happy that you're here. I want to share with you a more personal story today. It's something that happened recently, and the story behind it is pretty insane. So you may or may not have seen me talk about some of this on social media, but not long ago, really recently, we bought a house. And we've been on this house journey for a really long time. So this story that I want to share with you is about how to visualize what you want, and how visualizing what you want, how you can bring it into your reality in so many incredible, miraculous ways. And just in general, sharing with you the power of visualization and how it's really transformed my life, and the fun things that I've done over the years that have really helped me. So just it's been like, I've gone like full circle with this. So, I'm trying to figure out where to start with this. So we bought a house, and we've been trying to find a house for over 2 years. So we started this house journey. We really wanted to be able to have a bit more space with having Casey and Marley. My gosh, we've got toys everywhere. We don't really have anywhere to put them. And we were like, oh my gosh, we need to move. And so we started to look around at different houses. And a couple of years ago, we put an offer in and we very nearly bought a house on a new development. And I really liked it. There were some things that I didn't like about it. And I was like, I'm not sure. My gut instinct was like, we shouldn't, but I felt like it was the only option. And so I was like, maybe we should just go for it. And then we did that around. And then in the end, they all got sold. And I remember at the time feeling gutted and we should have just made that decision. We could have moved already, and feeling like, oh, how annoying. And we went to see a house that was in absolute disrepair. Some people had bought it and they basically gutted the house to rebuild it, and then had got into financial difficulty and had to sell it. And so that was one we saw, that then we didn't go for that. We've sort of seen loads of houses. Then there was this house that we did really, really like, and we kind of ummed and ahed again. It wasn't really in our dream location, and there was a few other big things that were sticking out for me that kind of put me off. But we were like, well, it's the best thing that's on right now, so let's go for it. So we really wanted to go for that house, and then we viewed it a few times, and it had been on the market for months and months and months. And then I called up finally, and I was like, no, we want to go and see it. We're serious. We just want to get on with this and get something sorted. So the estate agent was like, well, there's someone going around this weekend. Let them go round, and then, when they're not interested, I will speak to the sellers, and they might be more open to doing a deal. And I was like, okay. And it turned out that person who went to view it after months and months and months and months decided he wanted to buy it. And I was like, wait, what just happened? And then right then and there, they'd done the deal, he'd put a deposit down, and it was off the market. And I was like, okay, I said to the universe, we're gonna move on this, we're gonna get this house. And then it's like, poof, it's like the universe was like, no, you're not, just hold right there, you're not getting this house, Carrie, you're not getting this house. And I was like, okay, universe, right, we're not having that house. So then we kept on the house hunt, and then eventually we, I can't remember how. Oh no, there was another house then. There was another house that we saw. And again, it ticked a lot of boxes, but also didn't tick a few. And I really liked the house, but going around it, my gut instinct was, this isn't the house for us. I totally ignored my gut instinct, and we put an offer in anyway. The offer got accepted, and I was like, oh my gosh, it got accepted. And I was excited, but at the same time, I had this little inkling that it doesn't quite feel right. And I just ignored it. And then I started getting a weird feeling about it all. Anyway, less than a week later, I got a call, and we bought it just before it went on the market. Anyway, they quietly still put it on the market, and then they accepted an offer that was 50,000 more than ours, and came back and said, we accepted your offer originally, so if you match this other offer, we will go with you. And I said, absolutely no way. I'm not playing this game. Thanks very much. I'm walking away. So I walked away. And so again, I felt like it was the universe being like, Carrie, what are you doing? You're not listening to me. I'm telling you not to go for these things, and you're completely ignoring me. And so we went to see all these different places. And then anyway, there was this one house that came up, and it was this farmhouse that had been bought, and these developers were redeveloping it. And I'd kind of seen it on the market for ages, and I just thought, no, I don't really like that location. I wasn't interested. We felt like we were just coming down to it. There was nothing on the market. So we're like, let's just go and look at this house. And it was being like, they were working on it. They were rebuilding it. So we went and looked around it, and it was in this, I just didn't realise everything that was there. It was in the National Trust, which in the UK is like basically these amazing like park, like woodlands, amazing places. And it was part of a National Trust. And it sat on top of this hill that overlooked this valley with the river running through it. And it was on this like walk, which was absolutely incredible walk, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is in such a beautiful setting. And it was like an old farmhouse that they were doing it in the style that we loved. And I was like, even though there were things that didn't meet our like little list of things that we were looking for, I was like, it's got this view over the river. It's on this incredible walk, like this walking path. And we were like, yes, let's just go for it. So there was someone else interested at the time, and they were dithering on it. And then I put in the offer, and then I was like, I don't want to lose this. Like, you need to either accept this offer and we'll put a deposit down, or not. But I need to know, because I don't want to just keep waiting around. So they agreed and they accepted our offer, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is it. So I put a deposit down, and I was so excited that we were buying this house. So we, over the weeks we went round, we picked out wall paint, we picked out the carpet, and we watched as this house kind of moved through the process of like being completely finished. And we were so excited. We took the kids round. We all every weekend we went for a walk down there. Told Casey which his bedroom was going to be, and we were really excited. And as it happened, we'd been in the process of selling our house too, and we'd had a sale that had fallen through already. And then the week that this sale went, we got the offer accepted on this farmhouse. We also accepted an offer on our house. And I was like, this is meant to be. Like, it's meant to be. Like, this is amazing. So we were selling our house. We were buying this new house. And we were about a week out. The developers had told me we had a completion date of the 20th, I think it was the 25th of June, maybe. I can't remember now. Something like that. And we were like a week out. And we started packing up our house. Our house was in boxes, ready to be moving. We had like, we were going to exchange and complete on the same day, which if you're not in the UK, that means like once you exchange, it's legally binding. Up until that point, both of you can pull out. But this was like months into it now. We're talking like 4 months into this process of like having had the offer accepted. And so some weird things started to happen with this farmhouse. Actually, before that, whilst we were in the process of buying this farmhouse, I was still getting notifications for houses coming on the market, and there was this one house that came on in this like perfect location, and it was this house that definitely needed probably knocking down and rebuilding, but it was in like 7.5 acres. Kellen and I both wanted like a lot of land. It had like a little stream that ran through. It had a really large pond. We both wanted something with water. And we were like, I was like, said to Kellen, oh my gosh, if we weren't buying this farmhouse, we would buy this house. Anyway, I parked it to one side, although seriously considered pulling out to go for that. And thought, no, it's fine. Like, we've got this house, and the farmhouse didn't really have very much land with it at all. Didn't have any water. It just overlooked like a river that was kind of down the valley, which was really nice. Anyway, so weird things started happening with this farmhouse. Like, we found out that the bifolds didn't have planning permission. And I was like, wait, you want me to exchange on this, and you haven't even got planning permission for these bifolds you put in? What? So like weird stuff started to arise. And I was kind of agreeing and going along with it, though in my inside, my instincts was like, something off here. And then it was taking a really long time with solicitors, because it was a very complicated property, because it was in the National Trust. And so it was taking a while. And then on a Friday, the week before we were due to move, the week exactly to the week, I got this email from the developer saying, basically, hi, Carrie, really sorry to do this, but we've had a cash offer from someone else. We've accepted it. Yeah, we're not selling this to you anymore. I was like, what am I reading right now? I literally picked up the phone, called him, he didn't answer. I jumped in my car, I went straight down there. And then eventually I managed to get hold of him on the phone. And I was like, I was so blooming furious. And I was like, what on earth are you talking about? Like, we are supposed to be moving next week. I have 2 children. We're selling our house. Like, what are you talking about? You sold it to someone else. And he was like, basically said that he'd accepted this offer. And anyway, the long and short of it was that there was nothing I could do about it. And so we then had to pull out of the sale of our house, which was just absolutely blooming awful. But I'm really glad that we ended up doing that, because otherwise we'd have been basically homeless for a very long time. And yeah, it was just, I felt so frustrated, and I thought, universe, what is going on here? Like, how are we back at square one? How is this even happening? And then a few weeks later, we went away to the States, and we spent the summer in the States, and I tried to forget all about the house stuff. And we got back home, and then I felt frustrated because we were meant to be getting back home to this new house, which had more space, and we weren't. We were just getting back to our old house with boxes packed up everywhere. And I just felt so really just disheartened. So then we were like, okay, let's get back into this house hunting game and see whether we can find like a house this time. So got back in touch with the estate agent, started to have a look around again. And there was this one house that we went to see, and I loved the location of it. And it was a house that needed knocking down and rebuilding. But there just seemed like it was a beautiful plot of land, but there was just too many restrictions on that house. We wouldn't have been able to get what we wanted. So we were like, I think we need to let this one pass us by. And then the estate agent messaged me, and he said, I'm just going to send you an email later on today with the property on that you might think I'm completely crazy sending it to you, but just see what you think. So he sends this email through, and I open up the document, and I open up the attachment, and right there is this house that I'd seen that had come on the market when we were buying the farmhouse. It was a house I said to Kellen, oh my gosh, if we weren't buying this farmhouse, we would definitely go for this one right now. I was like, Kellen, it's back on. And I said to the estate agent, what's happened? And he said, well, it is actually, there was an offer accepted on it right away. When they put it on the market, it went to sealed bids because so many people were interested in the property, and it went for way over asking. And they accepted the offer from this guy, but he's dragging his heels now and has been for months, and they're really worried it's falling through. I think it is falling through, and they are an elderly couple and they just want to get it sold. So I was like, okay. So we went and had a look around this property, and I was like, oh my gosh. So when I was a teenager, I would vividly visualize building my dream house when I was older. And I would fall asleep at night, like walking around this place. I'd walk down the drive, walk in the front door, go around the kitchen, go upstairs into the bedroom. Like, I would just spend all this time wandering around, envisioning what it would all look like over and over again. Like practically every night I would visualize this. I mean, not just as a teenager, like as like in my 20s, in my 30s, like I visualized this house all the time. I would go to this house all the time. And so in my mind, when I would be visualizing it, the driveway, it was like a long driveway, and the garden and stuff was kind of like off to the right. And then there was kind of like a fountain or something in the middle. And then I always used to imagine like an old lamp, you know, like these lamps with like the lanterns off it. I mean, I wouldn't have this now if I was designing something now, but as a teenager, that's just always what I envisioned. And we got down there and down the drive, and after a little while, it dawned on me, this drive is exactly like the one I used to picture in my mind. It even has a little fountain in the middle. It even has the lamp, the way I imagined the lamp being. And I was like, this is so crazy. And I said to Kellen, this is literally how I pictured a house when I was like growing up. Like, this is the driveway. And then it had a lot of land. It's got 7.5 acres. We were looking for a lot of land. It had a large pond. It had a stream running through it. And I was like, and it was also walking distance to a pub, which is one of the other things that was on our checklist, that it was walking distance to some kind of like restaurant or pub or something. And I was like, this literally checks every single box we've had. And not only that, the location was just absolutely perfect for us. We wanted something more in the countryside, but not too far away from like everywhere else. And when I was like younger, I'd drive home from school, I used to drive down this road, and there was a point on the road that I would get to. It was like I kind of came up the top of a hill, and then I would look out over the countryside, and I always had this like overwhelming feeling of like peace and just like an overwhelming, something like almost like an overwhelming sense of like peace, and like as if I was just home. And the house is literally on this road. And so I feel like if my soul literally physically could use words to tell me something, it would say, Carrie, this is where you're meant to buy a house. And I knew when I was buying the farmhouse that it wasn't where I was meant to, I knew it wasn't where I was meant to be buying, but I just felt like, well, it's the best thing I can find. Like, this is it. It's either this or nothing kind of thing. And I just didn't trust that there was something better. And it's crazy how it all works out, because if we had have got caught up, if we hadn't been buying the farmhouse and we'd put in an offer on this place when it came on the market, we would have lost out, because we would never have bid what that person who got his offer accepted originally, we would never have bid what he bid. It went so far over asking price. So when we bought it, we didn't buy it. We put an offer in lower than what he did and got it accepted. And so it's so crazy how it all works out. And it so blows my mind to think that, like, it's sometimes we feel like things in life aren't going the way we want. Sometimes we're like, why is this happening? Like, why? What is going on here? Like, why? And we feel like disheartened about things, when actually the universe actually does have our back. Like, thanks Gabrielle Bernstein for that saying. The universe does actually have our back, and it's working in our favor. But sometimes we just don't think it is. Sometimes we just don't know, because we can't see the full picture. We can't see the way, and we're just seeing this tiny little aspect and being like, how are you here serving me? Like, how are you, what is the point of you right now? What is this? And I just think, like, sometimes in life, it's interesting how the universe, like, or whatever, call it what you want, like, how it all just shows up. And like, it was just so weird the way that the offers we put in, how it all fell through. And how everything led to this point of, like, buying this property and being able to now hopefully build our dream home there, and it being exactly how I had envisioned in my mind when I was growing up. And I think there's obviously so many different lessons that I learned in this whole experience, but one of them is, like, really the power of visualizing what you want. The power of getting clear on what it is that you want and immersing yourself in it. And when I look back at all the amazing things that I have manifested in my life, they all started with a vision I held for myself. Like, it wasn't like one day I just became a Hay House author and I never held a vision for that. I held a vision for it. I held the vision for that exact thing to manifest in my life. And it took years and years to manifest. And it was, my goodness, getting a book out of me was just a very hard process. Like, I mean, it was a big battle with myself to write that book and to overcome my immense amount of imposter syndrome, and to feel worthy of writing a book. It felt like climbing a mountain. Like, it was a huge battle for me, but I got there with it. But I held the vision for it. So I wanted to share this story with you of me manifesting this house and the crazy journey that I've been on to get to this point. But my point is, my thing I want to reflect back to you is, what is the vision or the visions you are holding for yourself? Like, what are they? And trusting that somehow these visions are going to come to pass. You're going to manifest them, and you might not know how it's going to happen. But trusting, and sometimes it's hard, like I said, like in this whole story of me sharing this with you, I think you can quite clearly see that there have been times when I have not trusted the process. There were times where I went against my own intuition, and I made decisions that were out of alignment, and I ignored myself. I ignored myself because I felt afraid that if I didn't make that decision, then we wouldn't have anything, and we might as well have something than nothing. And I knew I was making wrong decisions, but, like, I wasn't listening. And I think it goes to show as well, one, how much the universe does have our back. Two, how important it is. I mean, I do think we should, like, listen to those niggles, listen to what's coming through for ourselves. And I have found, especially in business, the more I listen to those niggles, the more I really tune in with myself, the more success I'm able to create, and the more it flows with ease. And, like, momentum builds, like, just opportunities arise, just things begin to flow, like, so much easier. So what is the vision that you're holding for yourself? And I think doing this, even if you think, like, there's a really, someone told me about a guy called, oh my gosh, what is his name? I can't remember his name. Anyway, this person whose name I will remember and put in the show notes for you. And, he talks all about visualization and the power of visualization, and that like literally our ability to visualize what we want is how we create and how we manifest our future. And he talks about the fact that we're doing it all the time, but it's just what are we visualizing most of the time, things that we don't want. But he talks about like the power of us being able to visualize, even for example, like holding a tennis ball. Like if you visualize for a moment what it would feel like to hold a tennis ball in your hands, and you imagine the fuzziness of the ball and what it weighs, you can feel it in your hand. Now imagine you're holding a golf ball. It's smaller, it's heavier, it's plastic, it's got little holes on it. Like you can feel the golf ball in your hand. Now imagine holding a baseball. It's heavy, feel the leather, the stitches in it, and you can feel it in your hand. And like if I said to you, imagine that right now there's a slice of lemon in front of you, pick it up, put it in your mouth and bite your teeth into the lemon. And my mouth has started salivating already. Your mouth has probably started salivating too. Like our ability to visualize and experience things before we've actually manifested them is unbelievable. We all have the power to visualize. We all have the power to decide what we want. But the reality is most of the time, most people are visualizing and stuck on what they don't want. But like, we all know this. I mean, if you've watched The Secret or read The Secret, like, which is not something to be all and end all, but it's a powerful thing of the mind doesn't know the difference between positive and negative. So if you say, I don't want this, it's like, I was talking to someone about this earlier and she said, it's like me telling you not to imagine a pink elephant. You can't help but a pink elephant just pops into your mind because the mind doesn't know the difference between don't do this and do this. So it's like all the time we're telling ourselves, we're thinking about what we don't want, and we're just constantly visualizing and imagining what we don't want for so many of us. And so it's just like, actually, what do you want? And what are you envisioning it for yourself? I really love immersing myself in these visions. Like even now, for example, especially now we've bought this place and we're gonna, put plans together for building a dream home. I'm literally all the time now falling asleep at night, imagining walking around this house, imagining what it's gonna be like. I am like off in this house all the time. It's already built, it's already a done deal. Like I can already feel how it's going to feel. And I'm envisioning all sorts of other things. And it's like I'm constantly envisioning what I want for myself. So are you, and how immersed in this are you? How often do you come back to this? And I know everyone has different ways of doing things, but for me personally, this has always played such a big part in my life. And I think since I really, really got serious about personal development and mindset work and took it to another level back in 2011, like it's just really visualizing what I want and staying connected to those visions has really helped me to keep going, even when it's been really hard, even when it's been challenging, even when I've been like, what the bloody hell is going on right now? And even when I felt so close to wanting to give up, I just keep coming back to my vision and I keep envisioning it and keep connecting with this is what I want for my life. This is what I want to achieve. This is how I want to feel. And I keep coming back to that place. So I just wanted to share this story with you for, one, just to say, really decide what you want and visualize it and dream big for yourself. Because what is the point in not dreaming big? What is the point in not giving yourself permission to have the things that you want to have? So visualize it and then have fun playing around with this. Like, again, I was talking to someone earlier, we were talking about how we just like play around with this. And she was telling a story of something that she wanted to see. She was like, she wanted to see something very specific, a very specific sign. And she just was looking out for it. She was thinking, where the heck am I going to see this around where I live? And then she ended up like going online or something, I think, and then ended up seeing an article or something with the thing in that she wanted to see. And I have experiences like that where I'll ask for a sign to see something like a white butterfly. Once I did it with a white butterfly and I wanted to see a white butterfly and I went on a walk and I was like, where's the white butterfly? I gave myself 24 hours to see it. And then I remember it getting really close to the 24 hours and I went on this random website because I was looking for someone up. And there on the website was the white butterfly and I thought, oh, there you are. I didn't expect to see you on a website. And I do it all the time. Like my dad, when I was a teenager, bought me a book about cosmic ordering. And so we cosmic order things and we would, I still do to this day, cosmic order parking spaces, cosmic order to find a piece of lost jewelry, cosmic order for whatever it is, I'm blooming cosmic order for it. And I just enjoy having fun playing around with the power that I have, that all of us have to manifest. And I love learning about it. I love reading about it. Like the book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. Like, such a great book. And it's like, I love taking these concepts and these ideas and recognizing that we are all such powerful creators and powerful manifestors, but most of the time we're not tapping into our power. And so play around with it, have fun with this, see it like it is a game, and just see, like, how can my life change if I like really get into visualizing this? Like, how can my life change if I start actually cosmic ordering for things and just play with it? I mean, I know that you've probably got loads of stories if you do the stuff already. I would love for you to come and tag me in them or send me a DM on Instagram so I could share them, because I think it's so inspiring when we all see and hear these things of like, yes, this is possible. Yes, we can do it. And when we do it, when we get into the habit of doing it, our life starts to expand and expand and expand, and it's actually incredible. So there it is. Visualize and envision what you want. Get so connected to that vision. Experience it. See it. Feel it. Really experience it over and over again. Just become so immersed in it, and it's so much fun to do anyway. I mean, who doesn't want to sit there? I mean, like, before I became really financially successful, I would like really envision that success and what it would feel like and what I would do with that money, and I would just really sit in that vision of knowing that that was going to be my reality, until it just felt like it was the next logical step, and then it became the next logical step, and then it was my reality. So visualize it, and have fun doing it. So I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Come and share your stories with me on Instagram at I am Carrie Green or at Female Entrepreneur Association. I always love hearing them, and I would love to share some of them, especially on this topic. So that'll be really, really fun. If you haven't left me a review for the She Means Business show, but you enjoy listening to it every week, then I would absolutely love it if you could over on iTunes, on the Apple podcast, because it will help lots more people to discover this. So yes, thank you, and I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the She Means Business show. Bye. I hope you loved this week's episode of the She Means Business show. If you want more help and support to build a wildly successful business, then join hundreds of thousands of women and become an FEA insider. You'll get access to some of our amazing freebies, to our bonuses, to our giveaways, to so much good stuff. You can join me over at fea.link/insider to get all of the goodness. And I will see you next week for another episode of the She Means Business show.